Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. We've journeyed from that contemplative wisdom we found earlier, right?
Hmm.
And now we're shifting gears, moving into the realm of these warrior spirits in Mars. It feels like a real move from just understanding to, well, action.
Yeah, from passive knowledge to a kind of active faith. It's all happening in the light of Il Paradiso.
Exactly. And that brings us to, I believe, our 83rd deep dive.
It's amazing how that geometric pattern Dante sees the spirits forming, that cross in Mars, sort of visually represents that shift, doesn't it?
It really does. Spiritual insight turning into, well, courage and action. Not just knowing, but doing.
Right.
So our mission, really, for this deep dive into Canto 15 of Il Paradiso is to dig in and see what useful lessons we can pull out for our own journey. You know, what wisdom is tucked away in these lines that speaks directly to you listening now.
Okay, so Dante finds himself within this formation, these faithful warrior spirits, and then a particularly bright light separates itself.
From the cross formation.
Yeah, from the right arm of the cross, and it moves towards him.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. This isn't just, any random soul.
No, not at all. It turns out to be his great-great-grandfather, Cacciaguida, a knight.
Wow. Died in the Second Crusade, wasn't it?
That's the one. And he approaches Dante with this incredible joy. But first, he speaks in this very archaic sacred Latin.
Welcoming his descendant, this totally unexpected arrival in paradise.
And that moment itself gives us something fascinating right away, a detail from Il Paradiso. He starts in Latin, all solemn,
Right.
but then he shifts, switches to the Florentine vernacular, Dante's own language.
That linguistic switch, it's more than just style, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It feels like Cacciaguida is actively meeting Dante where he is, bridging those centuries between them.
Like he's making the connection real right now.
Exactly. It really underlines how these connections, these roots, they're living things. They need, common ground to communicate.
That adaptability, even in heaven, is pretty striking. And then Cacciaguida starts describing ancient Florence, his Florence, back in the 12th century.
Yeah, and the picture he paints, sober, honest, peaceful. You get this strong sense of civic virtue.
An era before everything went south, basically, before the family factions and the luxury and corruption took over.
It's such a sharp contrast to the Florence Dante was living in and writing about. We've touched on that corruption before.
We have, and that contrast, that immediately gives us one of the key lessons here, right?
Absolutely. It's not just history. It's a powerful reminder that material progress doesn't always mean moral progress.
Sometimes they seem to go in opposite directions.
Cacciaguida's simpler Florence, it seems, had virtues that the later wealthier Florence had kind of lost.
And he gets specific, too. He mentions, women wearing modest clothes, not excessive jewelry.
Yeah, and citizens being content with simpler homes. It wasn't about flashy displays.
So looking at that picture of moderation, how does that speak to us today? I mean, what's the value of simplicity it highlights?
Well, it's crucial, I think. It's not just that things were different back then. Dante gives us these visuals of moderation.
Turning it concrete.
Right. It forces you, the listener, to ask, okay, what in my life today mirrors that excessive ornament Cacciaguida is critiquing,
How do our simple houses compare?
Exactly. It makes that value of simplicity less of an abstract idea and ties it directly to our physical material choices. It really highlights how easily you can lose balance when wealth or possessions increase.
And Cacciaguida's name itself is interesting. Caccia for hunt, Gaeta for guide.
Guide. Yeah, it really suggests his role here isn't just, hi, I'm your ancestor. He's a spiritual guide for Dante in this moment.
Which ties into this whole idea of inheritance, doesn't it?
Beautifully. He's not passing down land or money. He's passing on knowledge, values, guidance. It points to moral inheritance.
The idea that the real legacy isn't just stuff, but the values and the example you set. The guidance you offer through your own story.
Precisely. That's the true inheritance. And it also speaks volumes about knowing and honoring your roots, your family origins.
It's not just nostalgia, is it? It's about understanding where you come from, the founding values of your identity.
And you see the joy in that recognition across time between them. It feels like acknowledging those roots gives a kind of spiritual strength.
A bond that lasts, even beyond death.
Yeah. So thinking about Cacciaguida's message here, how do these insights, centuries old from Il Paradiso, actually resonate with the choices and challenges you face today?
It's a good question. How do you identify your own roots? How do you navigate that tension between material stuff and moral grounding, or find value in simplicity? This deep dive into Canto 15, it really offers some profound lessons, I think, about identity, virtue, what true inheritance really means, all by looking back through this amazing encounter.
And it leaves you with that thought. If real progress is moral, not just material, well, how do we measure our own journey? What kind of inheritance are we actually building right now?
That's definitely something to chew on. And that really wraps up this particular deep dive. We really appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to the next one.